Winter travel in Norway. 7 essential tips you need to know. Welcome to the channel, everyone. I'm Mace, coming to you from Vancouver Island in beautiful Canada. I'm a rapper, producer. You can find all my music streaming everywhere. Let's get into this video. All of that said, I'm Canadian, and it's not as cold here as you think. I live in a temperate climate. It snowed once this winter. Once! To be fair, it was like a very light winter this year. Like the past 3 or 4 winters have been much worse. But yeah, it was. We got off easy this winter, man. I gotta say, I put on my winter tires. I did all the right things. I don't even think I used my winter tires. I think I drove once in the snow. So yeah, winter travel in Norway. Let's see the tips. That being said, I have been to Alberta in minus 20, minus 30. You gotta come prepared. You gotta be prepared, or you're gonna be in trouble. All right, let's get into it. What do you got to wear in Norway? What do you got to do in Norway? What are the tips that you need to know if you're in Norway? Let's do it.
In northern Norway. I've just arrived here on Fredriksen's Balmoral. It's January and minus 11. We've seen some fantastic northern lights on this trip so far, and many other independent.
I've never seen the northern lights. I got to see those at some point.
Travelers come to Alta at this time of year. But the winter can be brutal in Norway. Many people know because of climate change, the winters in Norway are actually pretty mild these days. But here in Alta, we've got temperatures of minus 11 today. It can often be minus 20 or even lower. So here today, I've decided to make this video for you to give you some tips about visiting Norway in the winter. So from dressing properly and wearing the right gear to knowing what to expect from the Northern Lights before you visit so you make the most of your limited time here. Here is my guide to visiting Norway in the winter. Just before we get started, please do check out Life in Norway.
I have found like minus 10, minus 11, you can get by, but once you start getting into minus 15, minus 20, minus 25, you need to have the proper gear. You need to have the coat, proper clothing, or you're going to be in trouble.
Number 1, know when to visit. Norway's winter is not just one season. It's a tale of 2 winters. November, December, and January bring the dark winter, when daylight is scarce and snow isn't always guaranteed. Instead,
the dark side. I love saying that.
You'll find rainy streets in the cities, but they're lit up with festive lights and bustling Christmas markets. If you're looking for snow-covered landscapes, February, March, and early April is what I like to call the white winter. This is when Norway transforms into a true winter wonderland.
A winter wonderland.
With longer, brighter days, crisp air, and thick blankets of snow in much of the country, but not all. On a recent Northern Lights cruise in October, many people on board were surprised to find there wasn't any snow around. Well, that's because snow typically arrives much later, especially in coastal areas. If snow is a must for your trip, aim for later in the winter when the chances are higher. One of the things I must talk about in Norway in the winter is the importance of wearing the right gear, bringing the right clothing, and using it at the right time. Now, I meet many people.
That's the thing. Like with me, like I don't really have a proper winter coat. Like if I went somewhere truly cold, like Norway, when it gets down to those temperatures, I would need to purchase a jacket. Yeah, and boots and long underwear and all of that.
Especially on the cruises,
I just don't really have it.
Have checked the weather forecast.
The weather doesn't get cold here.
It's going to be minus 5 degrees in Alta, and then they arrive on a day like this. It's actually minus 11, and it feels significantly colder because of the wind chill. Now, the weather forecast can be like that. It can be notoriously unreliable. The temperature can be very much colder than you thought it was going to be. The other thing is, minus 5 degrees might not sound very cold, but if you're going on a Northern Lights hunt or another outdoor activity, you're going to be outside in that temperature for potentially many hours. And especially at night, when there's no sun and it can be windy, it can feel significantly colder. And it's only really once you go inside that you realize how cold you actually are. And that can be very dangerous. So here's some guidance on what to bring when you come to Norway in terms of clothing. The number 1 rule to know about in the winter in Norway is the principle of layering. Now, this isn't just about wearing lots of layers.
What's the saying? There's no bad weather, only bad clothing, or no bad weather, only bad preparation, something like that.
That's not what layering means. It's about wearing the right layers at the right times. So generally speaking, most Norwegians will wear a woolen base layer. It doesn't have to be 100% wool. It depends on how cold it is. And by a woolen base layer, I mean long woolen underwear, top and bottoms. This is best brought with you. You can buy this stuff in Norway, but it can be quite expensive. If you're in a small place like Alta, where you don't really have the choice of where to shop, you can just go to one place and get them. They can pretty much charge what they like. So bring this kind of gear before you arrive in Norway. You won't always need to wear the woolen base layers, but if you're going out on an expedition, it's the very best thing to be next to your skin. The very best material is merino wool. Merino wool for me is a miracle fabric. I absolutely love it. The base layers can be 50% merino wool or even 100% merino wool if it's extreme.
Is merino wool like that breathable but not... Like it's breathable and it can also get wet, but it's also going to dry?
Extremely.
Key for me is like breathable materials. I don't like getting sweaty.
Cold. The next layer then depends on where you are, how cold it is, what you're going to be doing. It's t-shirts, long t-shirts, fleeces, thick jumpers, whatever you need. And this is where you change depending on the circumstances. You change that middle layer. Then you have a top outer layer. Generally, this needs to be waterproof and windproof. Doesn't necessarily need to be thick and bulky. This is padded. I also have another jacket with me that's a bit lighter, but it's still windproof. That's the most important thing because it keeps that chilly wind from penetrating. And together with what's covering your body, a neck gaiter or scarf, something like this. Again, this is quite thin, but it just stops, it wraps around the neck and it stops the wind coming in here, which is one of the places that they can get very, very cold. If you're not wearing anything on your neck, the cold will seep in here.
Yeah.
And then, of course, gloves. Now, I'm not actually wearing any right now.
So I used to work outdoors all the time. And in those winters that I mentioned earlier in the video where it would get minus 15, we had a few weeks at a time in the winter where it would get minus 17, minus 18. And I had to make sure I had that scarf and also like a balaclava thing because I would be outside for like a couple hours a day, right? Or hours. So you had to make sure that you were dressed properly. You're gonna get like frostbite out there, man. You gotta be prepared. Be prepared, people.
So this is a case of do as I say, not do as I do. It's because I'm filming this video. But as soon as this video is over, my gloves are going back on.
Never forget
then
the
a hat,
mitts.
of course. Wool is best, but anything that you're comfortable with, you could consider bringing a thin hat and a thick hat, just like with the gloves. Socks, also super important.
Yep.
Double up in the evening. Woolen socks are great, but as long as you're wearing 2 pairs of socks, again, a thin pair close to the skin, wool, and a thicker pair to keep them warm. That really makes a difference. The right footwear, of course, as well. Something to consider if you do get cold very easily is hand warmers. These little handheld packs that are very popular now. They're quite cheap to buy in sport shops. That's pretty much it. I don't think I'm missing anything, but perhaps you can let me know in the comments if I've missed anything out. So a little introduction on what to wear in Norway. I hope this helps you know what to bring if you're coming here in the winter. You're better bringing everything and then it actually end up being mild and you not need it than the other way around. You decide not to bother, you get here and it's minus 20, you go on a Northern Lights trip and you have to stay in the bus because it's too
better have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
cold for you to be out. That would be a disaster. So invest in some good quality clothing, bring an extra bag if you need to, and you're going to have a great time, whatever the Norwegian winter throws at you. Before moving on, if you find this video useful, please consider supporting me and the channel on Patreon. Backers get early access to videos, an exclusive Norway...
Seems like a really cool, like, Norway focused channel, so I'll leave a link to his channel in the description.
Number 3. Understand the Northern Lights. Images like this help sell Northern Lights.
I can't believe I haven't seen the Northern Lights, like... Often in the Yukon in Canada, Northwest Territories, none of it, like those are the areas where, or northern British Columbia, northern Alberta is where you're going to see them or have the greatest chance to see them, northern Manitoba, northern Saskatchewan, but this far south, like it's not often that we get a good glimpse of them, but it does happen, so I need to keep an eye out for when it's going to happen, get out and see it.
But they're not what you really see. So if you've come to Norway in the winter just to see aurora,
take some time first
Aurora
to prepare
Borealis
yourself and set appropriate expectations. The northern lights are unpredictable, and no two displays are ever the same. While some nights do bring vivid green ribbons with hints of pink and purple dancing across the sky, many other times the aurora may just appear as a faint, barely moving glow or haze. Unlike the dramatic images captured on camera, what you see with the eye depends on several factors, including light pollution, atmospheric conditions, and how well your eyes have adjusted to the darkness. The key to a rewarding experience,
anybody watching, have you ever seen bioluminescence in the ocean? That's really cool too.
Is patience, giving your eyes time to adapt and understanding that even a subtle display is part of this incredible natural phenomenon. I've got loads more to say about the Northern Lights. Let me know down in the comments if you think I should make a video all about hunting the Northern Lights in northern Norway.
I'm now in Harstad, still in northern Norway, and as you can probably tell from the sunshine, it's a lovely, lovely morning. It's still cold, it's a couple of degrees above freezing, but that means there's a lot of ice underfoot. So the next thing to learn about visiting Norway in the winter, especially in the north, is how to walk on ice properly.
Fresh snowfall can be beautiful, but it can also be treacherous. When I first moved to Norway, I thought ice was just, well, ice. But I quickly learned there are many kinds, and some are worse than others. In Norwegian cities, paths are
specifically black ice when you're driving,
often treated with grit, which means they can still be slippery. The safest way to walk on ice is simply to avoid it wherever possible, even if you have to walk the long way around. To stay extra safe, grab a pair of detachable ice grips for your shoes. You can find them at most supermarkets or outdoor shops in Norway, and they're worth every krone. If, for whatever reason, you must walk on ice, walk like a penguin. Lean slightly forward and take small steps. Number 5. Embrace the darkness. If you visit in December or January, expect a limited daylight. When it is light, make the most of the breathtaking scenery. The magical blue hour creates some of the most stunning landscapes you'll ever see. And of course, winter's darkness creates the perfect conditions for seeing the northern lights dance across the sky. On a good night, it's one of the most unforgettable experiences Norway has to offer. Number 6. Make the most of winter activities. Norway is a playground in the winter. You don't have to get active, but if you do, you'll be truly embracing the Scandinavian way of life during this time of year. Dog sledding in Norway is a hugely popular activity and should be booked well in advance. Visits to the camps where the dogs live are also enjoyable, even if you don't join a sled trip. Other popular activities
take care of those
include
babies.
Visiting a Sami village to learn more about their fascinating culture, and visiting an ice hotel packed full of remarkable ice sculptures. If you're visiting cities, why not check out an ice hockey match? The season runs all through the winter. There's also local ice rinks for skating. These are often outdoors. For a taste of the fjords, without worrying about driving on icy roads, take the train from Bergen
hockey, and certainly something that we share together, Norway and Canada,
towards Oslo, connecting at Myrdal to join the Flom Railway. The scenery here is truly spectacular in winter, and unlike summer, you might have the train virtually to yourself. The fjord views down in Flom speak for themselves. Number 7. Have a flexible attitude. Norway's authorities are well prepared for winter weather, keeping roads, railways, and airports running smoothly even in severe weather. However, nature does still have the final say, and storms, heavy snowfall,
Southern British Columbia, we're not always the best at dealing with the weather.
Can still cause delays or cancellations. The key to a stress-free winter trip in Norway is flexibility. Be prepared for last-minute changes to schedules and have a backup plan, just in case. Planning ahead is important, especially
planning for having a contingency plan is like super important to not get stressed out when shit happens.
When it comes to daylight hours, with shorter days in the depths of winter, making the most of the available light is really important for sightseeing and outdoor activities. Websites and apps like yr.no, Norway's go-to weather forecast, which is also available in English, will help you track conditions and alert you to any possible issues, while Tour is handy for checking public transport schedules.
Looks like he's wrapping it up.
Own winter adventure. Now, I've taken the Norwegian...
That was cool. Yeah, like the shorter days in the winter, they can affect people's like mental health, right? And, like we have that here too. We just had where we change the clocks. We do the time change. Is there time changes in like Norway too? Like I don't know. Is that? But yeah, we put the clocks forward, put the clocks back, depending on the year. So we just changed them last week, and basically the clocks went forward. So wait a second, did they go forward or back? Whatever. Later in the day is much lighter now, so right now it's light out until like 8:30-ish, and it'll be like that throughout the summer. 8:30, 9 o'clock, 9:30, it'll be light out. So, and then it gets light out at about 7:30 or so. So we get a solid 14 hours of light, I think, something like that, which is pretty nice. All right, I'll let you all go. I'll give you guys. Let's do. I just released a new album.
Welcome to Alta.
See if I can find it. Go find it on streaming if you want to, though. I'm still learning, right? So like that's the thing. I'm still learning. This is just like an automated YouTube page, so it like doesn't do anything for me. So go follow me on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you do music, Deezer, Amazon Music, whatever it is. This song is like a different sound for me, but I kind of enjoy doing it.
Just grateful. I mean, I
got a plateful, having fun in this life, be playful. One day at a time, be graceful. Lately, I'm just grateful. I mean, I do got a plateful, having fun in this life, be playful. One day at a time, be graceful. Lately, I'm just grateful. I mean, I do got a plateful, having fun in this life, be playful. One day at a time, be graceful. Cherish every single second, every single solitary second. You should respect them, treat them like importance. The important moments are not chance, but they are your circumstance. Of our lives, of our struggle, of our cries, of our lives, we must recognize that. Can't even keep up with myself. Ultimately useless, not useful. No matter how cruel the tools try to treat you, they'll never defeat you. Everyone is equal regardless of how they treat you. Forgive and forget, it's hard, but don't fear the moments of loneliness come to an end, so cherish your friends. Lately, I'm just grateful. I mean, I do got a plateful, having fun in this life, be playful. One day at a time, be graceful. Lately, I'm just grateful. I mean, I do got a plateful, having fun in this life, be playful. One day at a time, be graceful. You don't want to look back and feel glad. We hope and we think still glad. I know sometimes that you feel bad, but you made it through and I'm real glad. All right.